Okay. Well, good day to everyone. My name is Silvia Sanchez, and I'll be explaining this local everyone. Show up presentations. There will can I ask questions. Internet is not very. If you don't see me at times, that's normal. Okay. Hold on. Sorry, just the presentation. No. Maybe this. All right. Left hard button corner left mouse. Oh, share screen. Right. Okay. What is and how it works? Well, that's me. Well, this is going to be the list of subjects of this talk. What is localization? What is the difference between translation and localization? How it works within Fedora, how to contribute, and there will be a final page with further information. First, what is L10N? It's a way to abbreviate the word localization, writing the initial and final letters L and N, and the number 10 in between to represent the rest of the word. Localization itself is the process of adapting content and products to a different language and region. It doesn't change the source, doesn't change the coding or anything, be it text, formats, whatever. It only changes the target content. Let's say we have text. You don't change the original text, you change the text that is going to be presented to someone else. In example, the original text is in Spanish, you translate it to English or to German. That's a work of localization. You don't change the original content, but only the target. This way, there is no need to create separate programs, books, websites, whatever. Are localization and internationalization the same? L10N and I10N? No, they're not. I10N is internationalization. It's the same rule as with L10N. Is the I and the N It's a way to abbreviate internationalizations. Anyway, while localization is the process of adapting content to a target region or language, internationalization is the process of making content and products ready for localizing or translating work. It modifies the source code or the original content so others can translate it without issues. Examples: an internationalized website will use UTF-8 and fonts that support other language in their characters. A way to see it is, let's say, a website is in English, it caters to UK, to USA, and to the European Union. Well, let's say we don't translate the content, we leave it in English. But you still need a support for the different places that will be shown in with their correct names and not with strange characters. It needs to show different dates, different measures. That's localization, changing the measures, the dates. But the website itself needs to have needs to be coded in a way that it will support that. So fonts or the right coding, the right formatting needs to be done so you can localize the target content without problems and without showing strange characters or getting an error if you introduce a different time format. Okay, let's move on. What's the difference between translation and localization? First, what is translation? Translation bridges the language barriers, making content available to people anywhere in the world. What is localization? Localization is the process of translating and adapting contents and products to a specific language and region, improving the effectiveness of communication. Now, localization includes translation. It's a part of the localization to translate text or different names. Translation is not the whole of localization. So the translation is included in localization, but localization is not the whole thing about, it's not included in translation. They are similar but not the same. Localization is a wider process. It includes colors, it includes measure, date formats, number formats, and way more. Difference between translation and localization. Well, as I said, localization includes translations, but translation doesn't include localization. The translation is language specific. It's not related to the user's location. In example, you translate to Spanish, regardless this person is going to read it in Spain or in Puerto Rico or in Argentina or anywhere else. It's the same language. If it's in Spanish, they will all understand. Localization may change things related to the location. In an example, someone in Spain may have different calendars or different text or places to show, colors, and so on. Well, hold on, I need to. No. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I needed to mute the Telegram notifications. That's why I stopped and resumed. Okay, translation is text only. It should be neutral with no slang, localisms, or made-up words. It needs to be understood as wider as possible. So if certain words are used only in a certain country or a certain location, you want to avoid that. You want to translate the text only and to make it available for as much people as possible. Localization is region specific, so you use grammars and spellings that are particular to a certain country or a certain region. You also, without going to the stream, you also can localize or that understood in the region, so understandable audience. So more is from the German spoken in the south. Even the grammars and many words are written different, pronounced different. They have different grammars. So if you make a website that is focused on, let's say, Baden-Württemberg, that is in the south of Germany, you want to use the grammar specific and maybe some words that are understood or they are more commonly used in Baden-Württemberg and not, let's say, in Hamburg, that is in the north, because you're targeting to a specific region. That's what localization does. Translation is more neutral, is aimed only to the language. Translation is literal, keeping the content as close to the original as possible. This means that if the original text is weird or is not really clear, you have no choice. You translate it as it is to the target language, and it's not. There's nothing you can do to make it clearer. While localization is not only text, first. Second, you can change part of the text as long as you keep the meaning. You can change part of the text as to make it more understandable for the region you're aiming to. Also, localization includes other items like colors, formats, standards. In example, a book, a piece of text with some colors and images. It's in Spanish. It's writing, let's say, has some coloring in red and yellow. When you localize it to Spain, those are the colors of the Spanish flag. So unless you want to give the impression that you're using the flag or something that is related to nationality, you might want to avoid those colors because they are understood different in Spain and in Ecuador. That's just as an example. Localization also includes standards, formats, ways to write numbers. It's classic, the confusion between a point and a comma to mark the thousand and to mark the when is one, let's say, €1 with 20 cents, and when is 1,200 euros with a point or a comma. That's a classic problem that is solved through localization. Otherwise, you get an error. Translation work doesn't include localization work. I already said it, but I say it again because it's a common mistake. Localization takes into account the cultural context. So if certain words will be misunderstood or may have a different meaning, or maybe insulting, or maybe taken in a different way, or if an image might not be, let's say an image can look offending, or maybe a symbol in one country is perfectly okay, it's just decoration, in another country resembles something that is historical, or is awkward, or is offending, or maybe people don't like it because of the cultural context. So you have to take that into account. While in translation, you don't. You simply put the text as it is into another language, and the rest is not your work. It doesn't. Translation doesn't take into account cultural regionality, only grammar and spelling. This is important because sometimes different countries have different grammar and spelling, and it's not wrong. In that country, that's the grammar and spelling that is correct for them. So you have to take that into account. A classic example is Spain and Latin America. They have different grammar and spelling. While both understand each other, in Spain, the Latin American grammar and spelling is wrong, but in Latin American, that's correct, and the Spanish grammar and spelling is wrong, is considered outdated. So you have to take into account, well, it's going to Latin America, it's going to Spain, we used one or another grammar and spelling, or better, you use a neutral grammar and spelling and you avoid the whole problem. That's for translation. Usually it's better to use neutral translation, so you skip altogether the cultural and region issue. Well, in localization, as you aim into specific regions and countries, you may want to add content that is relatable to the user or reader. You may want to add a grammar that feels closer to the user or reader, maybe images, maybe colors that look friendlier for them. So you tend to change a lot more in localization than in translation. Okay, let's move on. Well, how it works. Localization works by changing the target content, but leaving the source untouched. It often starts with users or readers from other language making requests, and by them making developers and creators aware of the situation. In example, a book is written in French, and for a while it goes in French until some readers start saying, oh, but we want to read it too, but we don't speak French, we don't understand French. Okay, are you from Netherlands? Okay, then we'll translate to Dutch. Now we don't need, we'll translate to English, and you add translation. The content itself, you don't change it because it's a novel. You don't change the source content. You only change the language so other speakers can understand, other readers actually. An example is a calendar app that we have options for different regions and language, like holidays, that format, if the week starts on Monday or on Sunday. If the source code is properly written, users should be able to have their own calendar showing the right days, formats, and other information just by selecting the region. The original program and its source code won't be changing anyway. You have the same calendar for everyone, but each person can add their own localization, and with it, the different holidays, the different date formats, etc. So on. I hope this is clear. Okay, let's move on. This is Fedora localization structure. You have some numbers. There are 166 projects currently with 6 groups and 98 languages. Fedora localization works in teams, 1 per language. Each team has a coordinator and a number of translators. Sometimes the smaller teams only also coordinator is also a translator. Sometimes it's 1 coordinator and 1 translator from the team. Translation are online, but offline work is also possible. You can install a program like Poedit or Babel, and there are a number of programs. So you download the file, you open it with your program, you edit it, and then you upload it. Or you can do it online.
Check the chat, please.
Yes? Check the... Oh, it didn't change. Oh, sorry. No, this is... Do you see it now? Hi? Do you see it? Oh, okay. Sorry then. Here. Ah. Okay, here. Okay, as I said, there are 166 projects, 6 groups, and 98 languages. Fedora works in teams, 1 per language, and each team has a coordinator, a number of translators. Translation are mostly done online, but offline work is also possible. Fedora uses different means of communication, such as mailing list and Telegram. Different teams can organize differently. Brazilian Portuguese, I know they have a group in Telegram. Others have in just a mailing list, or they use the main mailing list. It depends. Every team is free to organize themselves as they see fit. There are also a number of tools used. Besides Sanata, there is the site for Fedora localization is where the project, groups, and language are hosted, and is where all the files are hosted, and where if you do online translations, you do it on Fedora Sanata. There's also a website, a wiki, a wiki and a Pagure where to open issues. If you have any problem with translation or localization, you can open a ticket in Pagure, or whatever it is pronounced. Every team is free to use the tools and means of communication. So you may want to ask, after joining a team, which are the specific means of communication for your team, and they should tell you. About the project, every project has a number of versions. one being master, that is the one that you translate and is going to end in the next release. And the other are the older versions of Fedora and Red Hat. So usually you translate on master. Also, every project belongs to at least one group and is available for all language, whether they have active translators or not. So you may see a long list of languages, some of them with very low rate of translation and other with really high. That only depends on the translator, how active they are, how many, and so on. How to join? Well, first, if you don't have a Fedora account, you have to create it. Then you sign the CLA, that is basically an agreement that you always have to sign, and probably you already did if you already have a Fedora account. Then you should subscribe to the mailing list. And there you have actually two mailing lists. You have the main one, that is for all translators, and then you have the one for your language. Introduce yourself in the mailing list. Log into Sanata with your Fedora account, find your language team, and join it. And one detail is that you won't see the projects, groups, language, and so on if you're not logged in with your Fedora account. If you go to Sanata Fedora without being logged in, it will only show a general landing page. Oh?
The slides are stuck.
Oh, sorry. Did it change? Is it still stopped? Yes, full screen. I'm weird. I changed now because of oh, hold on. Oh, okay. Okay. To you. Okay. But do you see the new slide? Because I changed now, and okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. Oh, yes. Sorry. It does this every time, and I have no idea how to solve it. Okay. How to contribute? Well, you can contribute to Fedora localization by translating website, wiki pages, the software like user interface, desktop, and so on. Programs, I already said it. Documentation, that's very important because there are user users all over the world, but they don't always speak English, and the documentation is written in English. Handbooks. You can also help by testing that the translations are complete, that the translations are accurate, that the locales match, that the dates and formats are shown correctly, that calendars show days correctly and format, holidays, etc. That time zones match and are easily identifiable. That time zones are easily also to switch, because it happened to me that I travel, and when I travel and change the time zone, it would be a mess to change the time zone in the system. So that's something that if you find it, you have to report it as a bug. Standards and formats are correct. Cable layouts work. Package localization package are available and working. And obviously, all this means that if something is wrong, is not working, you report a bug. You can also help by designing a website to allow localization, using codification with support for other language, using a font that supports non-English characters or that support other alphabets like Cyrillic, Chinese, Japanese, etc. Localizing website, desktop calendars, software, documentation, and so on. Okay. And the final page with the links for further information. This I will put this available to anyone, so you can check the links and anything else you want. And well, that's it. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening. I hope it's useful and you enjoy it. If there's any questions, it's 12:41 for me. Okay. If there are any questions, I have no idea where is the. Okay. Do you? I don't remember changing anything. No, don't save. Okay. I don't want to. Okay. That's my question. Yeah, I'm having connectivity. That's it. Oh my God. Okay. I have